we'll talk about some of the initiatives that we've taken, the successes that we've had, and as well as the failures. We've got a number of excellent panelists with us today. We've got Hamad Naqi. He's the Director General of World Wildlife Foundation for Nature in Pakistan, WWF. Thank you, Hamad, for joining us. We'll soon be joined by Aisha Khan of Mountain Glacier Protection Organization, as well as the Civil Society Coalition for Climate Change. We're going to be joined by Mahmood Cheema Saab, who's the country director of IUCN Pakistan. And we're also expecting Malik, Amin, Aslam to join us for a little while as well. But before we get into the discussion, may I request Shafqat Kaka Khail Sahib, who is the chairperson, board of directors of SDPI, and who's been working on environmental issues for a number of years now, to talk about the importance of this day and why we should care, and we'll take the discussion from there. So over to you, Kaka Khail Sahib.
Well, at the outset, I would like to congratulate and thank SDPI for organizing this meeting. And we all know that the United Nations General Assembly decided way back in 1972 to have the international community celebrate the World Environment Day on the 5th of June every year. The United States has its own Environment Day, but the global Environment Day is always on the 5th of June. The basic purpose of the celebration of the World Environment Day is to enable the international community, which means member states, people, international organizations, the business sector, all of us, all the stakeholders, to reflect on the theme which is chosen for the celebration. And this year, the major theme for the World Environment Day is biodiversity. The theme is Celebrate Biodiversity. And before I say anything about the theme, I'd like to mention that this morning, a friend of mine from the UN sent me the statement of the Secretary General for this, for the World Environment Day. And I'd like to refer to that message of the Secretary General. The Secretary General has mentioned that human actions have degraded the environment to our detriment. He has referred to habitat loss, habitat degradation, and biodiversity loss. He has mentioned the disruption of climate and the consequent increase in the frequency and intensity of fires, floods, droughts, and superstorms. The Secretary General has also referred to the heating of oceans and the destruction of coral ecosystems. He has called on the international community to change the course from an unsustainable pattern to a more sustainable pattern in harmony with the nature. Now, as far as the importance of biodiversity is concerned, one cannot exaggerate this. Biodiversity is actually, if I may say so, the second name of environment, because it covers everything. It covers the ecosystems, the natural resources, which are essential for human and plant life and other species. But for the ecosystems, which is the second name of biodiversity, you will not have. We are now 8 billion of us. And in addition, there are millions of plant species. There are millions of animal species. All of them are because of the air, because of the water, because of the soil and other ecosystems, which also include the resources in our rivers, in our lakes, in our oceans. So it's the whole spectrum of resources which sustain human life. We don't have biodiversity on the other planets. So that is why we have life on this planet. As far as biodiversity is concerned, I would like to refer to a study which was done by the Intergovernmental Science Policy Panel and an assessment of biodiversity resources. It was headed by Dr. Bob Watson, who is a distinguished scientist and climatologist and environmentalist, who had been chair of the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change for many, many years. This panel has done both a global study as well as a study of Asia Pacific. Both the studies reveal that South Asia has the weakest record in terms of the preservation and care for biodiversity resources. And it has referred to policy failures, institutional failures, and other things. It has admired the South Asian countries for achieving economic growth and poverty eradication. But it says that this progress has been at the cost of environmental degradation in general and biodiversity loss in particular. So I would like our government to examine the assessment reports, which are the latest reports and state of the art, and take necessary steps to bring about improvement. Now, when it comes to stock taking of the environment and environmental situation, we have a mixed picture. At the outset, I would like to say that the civil society in Pakistan, of which SDPI and IUCN and WWF and others are, and the Global Coalition for Climate Change, the National Coalition for Climate Change are integral parts. We had all of us had welcomed this government because of its impeccable credentials, and which they had established during the PTI rule in the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province, the Billion Tree campaign. And what we now see is that the government has come up with a five-point program, which provides for 10 billion trees, which provides for ban on plastics, which provides for electric cars, which provides for a number of other initiatives. Now, this is an extremely positive action, and I hope particularly the efforts to curb the use of plastics will be successful, because plastics have been identified as one of the greatest sources of degradation of ecosystems and biodiversity. And we also appreciate that the government has made efforts to receive support and cooperation from the Green Climate Fund, from the Global Environment Facility, from the World Bank for a number of projects related to irrigation, water resources, and others. So this is a positive, the positive side of the government's efforts and achievement. I'm afraid I have to also mention some of the areas which are in which the government's record is not very encouraging, and in that I would particularly mention the almost the very little progress achieved on the implementation of the climate bill, which was adopted by the Parliament in 2017, and which provides for a significant strengthening of the institutional system and the governance system for environment, for climate change in particular, in the form of a climate council, climate change authority, climate change fund, and other efforts. We don't know where that bill is. We don't know what is happening. And while we appreciate and note the new steps that are being taken, it is an area of concern that the Pakistan will not be able to get the kind of cooperation that would be possible if we had robust institutional system. Another area.
Thank you, sir, for that detailed introduction to the issues at hand. You've talked about the importance of biodiversity. You've talked about the importance of environmental well-being for all of us. And you've also highlighted some of the dynamics when it comes to our initiatives that we've taken in recent years, as well as some of the problems that we've just been joined by Aisha Khan of MGPO, as well as Malik Amin Aslam, who's here with us for about 10 or 15 more minutes. I'd like to now turn to Malik Saab and have him talk about some of the initiatives that the government has taken recently. We know for a fact that he's been talking about the green impetus, and we're talking about the national parks.
I'm not talking anymore.
Please enlighten us as to some of these initiatives, and then we can move the discussion forward. Thank you.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Thanks a lot, Imran. And I was able to get the last part of Shafqat Saab's remarks also. I will address them, but let me first say that I would like to thank SDPI for giving this opportunity on this very important day for me to talk about this very critical issue of nature right now. As we started the year 2020, it was a year which was really planned for nature, to make the world focused on nature. And some people have termed it as a super year for nature. We had the WCC, the World Conservation Congress, planned for June, followed by the renegotiation of Aichi targets sometime in July, and then renegotiate the implementation start of the Paris Agreement in December. So it was a very strongly knit network that was supposed to take us through this renewed focus of the world on nature. But we've seen the whole thing turn around. We've seen the year 2020 really give us a shocking surprise to the world. in a truly global manner, because this is something which has hit all the world in a very standardized manner. And but the irony of the whole thing is that it is still reminding us of nature. So this theme of making the year 2020 as the time, this is the time for nature, is still very relevant, but in a very different sort of way. I'll just talk about two main lessons that we've been taught in this whole process. The first one is that, healthy human life is not possible, is not sustainable without having healthy nature, without having ecosystems preserved, and without having the respect for wildlife habitats that we seem to have lost. So that is a very strong message that has come across. As humans invaded wildlife habitats, this pandemic was initiated through that intrusion, and it is now all of world, and with repercussions that we all know of. So that was the first lesson that we've learned, which nature has taught us very strongly. The other lesson that we learned in this whole process was that as humans sort of switched off, and set the reset button, took their cars off the roads, cities went into lockdown, we suddenly realized that, we were breathing better, we were seeing butterflies, we could see birds coming, which were not there in urban areas before. And that was teaching us that nature, still has the capacity to bounce back very quickly if we can give it space. If we can give it time, it comes back very quickly. And I think that is the second lesson and that's, I think, a lesson of hope that we've seen through this pandemic, which has come out. But, taking these two collectively, what we also see is that, this whole process has again taught us that although we got isolated in the start of this, everybody thinking about themselves, but now we see that the solutions have to be thought out globally. It has to be an integrated solution. This attack on multilateralism, which was occurring before this year started, with very strong voices saying that this isn't working. Again, this nature has taught us that, that is the only way possible for human and mankind to survive into the future in a sustainable manner. So with these lessons, I think, what do we do practically? We've thought about this in our government also. And, one of the things we thought through was that the recovery, the economic recovery that has to happen now has to be a green recovery. If we go along the same pathway that got us here, we'll get the same solution, the same problem back. So we need to think differently. We need to come out of this crisis on a path of opportunity. And I think that's what we have thought through. The Prime Minister, when he announced the green stimulus package that we designed during this crisis, it was actually focused on two main objectives. One is that we need to protect nature. There's no question about that. And the other one is that while doing that, we need to also create jobs and stimulate the economy. So we need to do activities which can try to do both of these things together. And we looked at history, and we learned that this is not new. This has been taught before also. Many years back, President Roosevelt thought about this when the US was coming out of the Great Depression, and also the Spanish flu pandemic. And they also thought about on these lines that we need to bring nature and jobs together. So we on these lines we announced the green stimulus. It has got three main areas of intervention. One was already something that we were doing, which is the 10 billion tree plantation project, but we put in a new impetus for creating maximum jobs in it. And that has been very receptive from the ground. Jobs have quadrupled actually in that process. We are, at the moment, have about 65,000 jobs all over Pakistan given out. We want to increase that and take it to at least 500,000 jobs by next year. And these are focused on different aspects of the plantation. It's not just about planting trees. It's about creating the nurseries, creating those saplings, taking care of the forests, taking care of the natural forests as eco guards. And at this time, May end to July, is the forest fire period. We have a lot of people employed for protecting forest fires, for manually, trying to create the forest fire buffers, picking up the pine needles. So all these jobs are on the ground at this time, and they are all protecting nature, also creating the jobs and the economic impetus, providing employment to people who have migrated back to rural areas. So that's in the Billion Tree project. The other one that we again were on track, but we have given it a new impetus, is called the Protected Area Initiative. The Prime Minister is going to launch that sometimes in the middle of this month. That includes looking at protected areas, at least one in each province. So we've got 7 large national parks, and then additional protected area or nature reserve that we want to, wetland reserve that we want to add on to it. And we've been helped in that, a few of those with IUCN and also WWF. We want to make them a properly managed protected area and make them as models for provinces to then replicate. And while doing that, we would also be instituting a new national park service that will be set up in these, starting in these 7 national parks, and then allow a model to be replicated by provinces, because this is what they have to do in the post 18th Amendment period. Again, this initiative is going to teach us the respect for nature, protect the habitats for our future generations also, and at the same time create jobs for people. This is the second initiative. The third initiative and the final one is mostly urban. We had announced the Clean Green Pakistan initiative, which was focused on 20 main cities of KP and Punjab. We set them a framework of 35 indicators based on urban and this land and water and waste management and sanitation improvement. So these areas, 35 indicators, these 20 cities. Yes, I seem to have switched off, but as I said, this response to this Clean Green Pakistan has been very, very forthcoming, to the extent that we have a lot of cities who want to now enter this process. But what we've got now is that over the last 3 months, we've got these cities reporting on these 35 indicators for the first time ever. And by the end of this month, we will be doing a competitive exercise to make sure that we can reward and recognize the first 3 cities. And then this process to shift their behaviors.
I know you have to go as well. एक चीज चूंकि यहाँ पे we've got with us representatives from WWF, IUCN, I mean the CEOs of various civil society organizations. आपकी civil society से क्या तवक्को है? You talked about how some of the work that's already been done in the field. लेकिन collectively civil society, how can it help take this agenda forward?
देखिए इसमें civil society has to be at the forefront. They have to support us on this agenda. This is an agenda which is in some way, it's a very disruptive agenda for the government. Whenever every week I face issues in which I'm standing on somebody's tail in the government. And in that process, I think civil society has to be with us. I think we are committed, the government is committed, our ministry is committed, the Prime Minister is committed. And but as I said, we do step on tails in this agenda. And when we do that, I think that's something that civil society has to get together and get organized, and also support the government. It also has a role of identifying issues which we can respond on, and that is being played by civil society. We've got some very good groups, especially for the big cities, who keep on identifying issues that we can tag, we can respond to. These issues are important because they send out very strong signals. So it's not about one tree or one small area that happens. When we take the right corrective action on these issues, it sends out a signal to the whole country that this is the government which is showing zero tolerance towards tree cutting or green area encroachment or whatever. And that is important, I think, because these small signals make up the big message that the government wants to send out. I also want to just take on the issue of the Climate Change Authority. Shafkat Saab had rightly raised that issue, and we are cognizant of the fact that that it's been slow on that. But what I would like to say is that we didn't have the council meeting as such. We are planning one now. But what we did was we had a very small effective body initiated, which was called the Prime Minister's Committee on Climate Change. The Prime Minister, this was not part of the legislation, but this happened outside of it. But it has been a very effective forum. It's got the Prime Minister chairing it. We've got 4 or 5 ministers who sit on it. We've had 3 meetings of that, and it has taken some very important decisions which have helped our ministry in taking this process forward. There used to be a committee like this many years back, but then it got disbanded. So that was initiated. The Climate Change Fund as designed in the authority is not there, but what we have is now is we've set up this Ecosystem Restoration Fund, which is pretty much the same. We thought about setting up a new fund. It would have taken us more time, maybe 1 or 2 years to set up the whole infrastructure, and by that time we would have been gone. So we thought that we could use the existing National Disaster Risk Management Fund, which is already in place, and set this up as a window. And as an example of what has happened is that because of that fund being in place, we have managed to secure a very sizable funding from the World Bank, about $180 million, which has already come into that Ecosystem Restoration Fund. That would not have happened if we had followed the other process, which was much longer process. The third one, the Climate Change Authority, is something that we are pursuing. We have approved that. We have sent it to finance. Is obviously faces it's a number of, it's about 200 plus positions, and the finance is sitting on it. We keep on fighting to get it released, but because of the economic condition, that has not happened so far. But we are cognizant that that's a very good bill, and we want to get it implemented. But what I want to say is that there are parts of it which were the potent parts of it, which are already happening without it being implemented as such. Thank you.
Thank you, Malik Saab. So we've also had some comments on Facebook mentioning Balochistan, for example, where somebody wants your good offices to be used when it comes to the water governance there, or वहाँ पे पानी जो है ground water की इसकी shortage है. Cities और urbanization की आपने पहले ही बात की, तो उसके ऊपर भी आया था. May I quickly now, I really appreciate the time that you've taken to be with us. I'm now going to move to Hamad and have him give his thoughts on this subject. Hamad, we've had the National Conservation Strategy since the early 90s. But I always keep saying that that's a document that we haven't been implementing it. मतलब वो एक ऐसी चीज़ है जिसको अभी भी लेकर आप implement करना शुरू करें तो काफी हद तक हमारे जो मसाइल हैं वो हल हो जाए. So why is it कि we've not been able to do that? And given some of the issues that Malik Saab has highlighted, do you see some hope in the days and years to come? Thank you.
Thank you, Imran. Thank you, SDPI. Look, I think this pandemic is a wake-up call. Nature is our life support system. And we have seen that when we start taking nature for granted, what is the result? I think people, both Malik Saab and Shafkat Saab, talked about that the importance of protecting nature. Why is it important to protect, wildlife habitats? Why is it important to curb the illegal wildlife trade? Now, if you look at the root causes of biodiversity loss or environmental degradation, and then look at the solutions and assess the situation, whether there is an enabling environment present in Pakistan, then you'll see that you talked about National Conservation Strategy. I mean, the thing is, because of the fact that wildlife protection is a provincial subject, all the provincial provinces, they have good wildlife departments, they have wildlife acts, forest acts, and then we have national, at the federal level, Environmental Protection Act, which was translated, after the 18th Amendment, and now the provinces have these acts. We have environmental quality standards. we have climate policy now after like, 15 years, we have a national water policy. Now, if you just pick one document, I mean, just to give you one example, pick the climate change policy. When we were reviewing the policy, if we implement the climate change policy, we do have to implement any other policy. I mean, such a comprehensive document. So, okay, so we have good, policy and regulatory framework. Now, everybody knows, I don't have to say this, that the problem is in the implementation. So we always talk about lack of political will. We always talk about lack of capacity, lack of skills, lack of resources. The private sector always complains that we need to develop. And then there's an ongoing debate between the nature conservation and economic development. Oh, we need to develop, we need to reach a certain level, and then we'll think about environment. Now, this pandemic has literally, given us kind of a last warning that it's not either or. You have to look into a holistic manner. The nature, you cannot, whether for agriculture purposes, whether for development purposes, for any other reason. So I think we all know that there's a problem in the implementation. There's a problem in the capacity. But we have been saying this for decades. I think now let's talk about solutions, because problems, we are very good in identifying, problems. Malik Saab talked about, the support from civil society. I think that's also very key. He also said that civil society needs to be organized, and civil society needs to be, we should be a sounding board for the government. We should be a watchdog. We should be, provide a platform to bridge the gaps where the governments lack the capacity or the will or the resources. That's our job. We need to build the capacity of masses, so that they should know that access to a clean environment is a basic human right. It's not something which is luxury. Again, this pandemic has literally demonstrated how interconnected our world is, both for negative and positive reasons. So I think the two things. The organization. I think we need to prioritize our actions. We, यहाँ पे वही है कि ईंट उठाओ तो इश्यू तो निकल आता है, लेकिन हम वही रिसोर्सेज कम हैं या we need to prioritize. So हम देखें कि कहाँ पे there are few things which do not need any resources, but just with a stroke of pen, they can be done. हमें अपने water bodies को categorize करना है on the basis of usage. अगर कोई drinking water है रावल उसको class A होना चाहिए. Then we have to ensure it remains class A. Similarly, so ये basic हमने prioritize करके करना है. Civil society को I think as WWF and as an environmentalist who's been fighting in this sector for more than 2 decades, मैं कुछ सालों से 2 चीजें बहुत कर रहा हूँ मैं और IUCN की अभी we are all like most of us are members of IUCN कि हमें 2-3 चीजें let's identify 3 things that we need to work together. SDPI, IUCN, WWF, lead कोई जो भी local, national, regional, international organization है, they should be on the same page. They should speak one language. Now, second, coming to this comment, I think Shafkat Saab ne bhi kaha, or we are very hopeful. I think for the first time, we have a kind of a Green Party comment. The Prime Minister loves outdoor, loves nature. We have a minister who is, fit for the purpose. He is like the most knowledgeable minister that we ever had, considering, his educational background, his interest, his passion. So these are the, अगर अब भी कुछ ना किया तो फिर I'm a very optimistic fellow, we are doomed. अगर मलक अमीन, असलम और इमरान खान के होते हुए ये चीजें नहीं हुई. Now, the 10 billion tsunami, great initiative. Green stimulus, great initiative. But there are a few things that I would also like to, warn, a bit maybe share my concern. So Malik Saab talked about new protected areas and creating maybe a parallel service at the federal level which can trickle down. So I have a concern as a practicing environmentalist. We already have like more than 10% of our area under some protection, national parks, wildlife sanctuary, game reserve. What is the status there? Do we have good management plans? Agar wo hain, are we implementing them? Unfortunately, no. They are all paper parks. So पहले जो existing है, उनको तो बेहतर कर लें. उनको तो जिस मकसद के लिए वो बनाए गए हैं, अगर मरगला में कंस्ट्रक्शन हो रही है, अगर कीर्थर में माइनिंग हो रही है, अगर हिंगोल में डेवलपमेंट हो रही है, we need to revisit our strategy. It's exceptionally good to bring more area under protection. IUCN, I know, strongly favors that, but I have my concern. The second is creating parallel. देखें पिछली गवर्नमेंट में क्या हुआ था, उन्होंने parallel services create कर दी थी. If we have provincial departments, they have the mandate, to develop and implement and protect those protected areas. If they're not doing the job, fire them, punish them. But एक तो solution है कि उनके parallel खड़े कर देंगे, फिर वहाँ पे होगा कि this is my mandate, this is my responsibility. So I would say कि उसको या तो उसको हमें ठीक करने की जरूरत है. वहाँ पे 20-30 साल से लोग हैं who are like, who have the experience, they know the areas, they work very closely with the local communities. So I think starting from national conservation strategy, I try to give like a kind of a umbrella framework or a situation, just speaking from my heart. Thank you.
When one speaks from the heart, then that's when they make the most impact. So truly appreciate you being here and truly appreciate you speaking from the heart. I do have one question that I'll come back to, और इस पे आप थोड़ा सा सोचिए हमारा. वो ये है कि हम लोग 18th अमेंडमेंट की बात करते हैं, ठीक है, प्रोविंसेस का रोल है, फेडरल रोल है, वहाँ पे भी एक तरह से डिसोनेंस आ रही है. मलिक साहब जब थे तो वो बात कर रहे थे कि he has to step on a few toes now and then, तो वहाँ पे सिविल सोसाइटी की सपोर्ट जरूरी होती है. तो जो डिसोनेंस है between the provinces and the federal level, वो आप किस तरह देखते हैं और उसको किस तरीके से कर सकते हैं? I'll come back to you on this point, but let me now move to Aisha Khan, and then I think Mahmood Akhtar Cheema साहब ने भी हमें join कर लिया है. He's here. Thank you, sir, for joining us, and we'll come to you. So Aisha, what are you hearing right now? How does that resonate with the work that you've been doing up in the northern areas, the work that you've been doing with the Civil Society Coalition for Climate Change? Over to you. Thank you.
So it's a good day for us, to remember what the earth means to us. And I think the COVID-19 happening this year has made that reminder a little more sharp for us to understand that we all depend on each other and we depend on ecosystem goods and services. So if we don't protect Mother Nature and look after the natural assets that the earth provides us in terms of its provisioning and regulating services, we don't have a future. So having said that, let's move forward. I heard what Shafqat Kakakil had to say, and he's touched upon a lot of the things, taking us back to the Rio Summit and the UNFCCC and the IPCC reports. And then, Malik, Amin, Aslam talked about the steps the government has taken, and Hamad has talked about essentially, the barriers and the challenges, very rightly so, that all the policies are in place, but why have they not been implemented? So I think taking that as the background and referring to my work, where I have focused on in these last 20 years has been the mountain areas and the mountain communities. Because for some reason or the other, my work started in the mountain communities, and I developed a very close linkage with mountain areas, and that being my passion as well gave me an extra reason to remain associated. So we have seen, how the changing climate has been affecting these communities, and how their lives and livelihoods are getting directly impacted. And our work has been essentially focusing on building their adaptive resilience to climate change. And wherever we work, we make sure that we take the communities on board. And I think that is one thing that I see missing in this overall picture, that when we talk about civil society, we talk about big civil society organizations, but we don't talk about the grassroots organizations where the decisions taken are going to be implemented. So I think we need to make closer contact with the grassroots communities and get their input and see, what are their hopes and aspirations for their own development and factor them into our policy. The other, gap that I see is in the past, of course, weak governance and lack of importance that was attached to the subject of environment as a whole. And climate change came in later, but even less to climate change. I think one of the reasons is that the global community and we in Pakistan also tend to look at these things as in a detached way, something that doesn't have a day-to-day impact on our lives. And what doesn't affect us directly or have an immediate, effect, we tend to think of it as unimportant. But I think climate change, environment, pandemics are now closer to home, and they've reached a stage where they are affecting the ordinary man's lives. And therefore, I think it's very important to attach greater importance to these things. But having said so, what we see from the COVID-19 social behavior is that communities where poverty is greater will not be respectful of other laws that are imposed on them, because the struggle for daily survival is more important to them than protecting the environment or thinking of a climate change impact that's going to happen 20 years from now. So I think it's two things that I'd like to reiterate here. Very important is that we should make environmental education a part of our core curriculum in the education institutions, because children need to be made aware of the linkages between human life, human activity, and nature from day one. This sensitization is missing in our society. We have no respect for nature. I mean, look all around you, and you will see that, our idea of interaction with nature is eating, littering, playing loud music, and coming back. So, that kind of a society is never going to respect nature or protect the protected areas or the water bodies or the air quality. Perhaps air quality has a direct impact on health, so people resonate with it a little differently. But when it comes to protected areas, I have walked in nearly all the protected areas in Pakistan and trekked in all the mountain areas. And all I see there is mismanagement, no environmental impact assessments done, no management plans that are actually being implemented on ground. And these things stem from a lack of sensitization. The other thing that is missing and that is very important for us if we want to protect Earth is, and we call it Mother Earth, is the role of women in society and the role of women in the management of natural resources. That is again another thing that societal barriers and cultural practices and traditions keep them out of the decision-making loop. We have to cross these barriers and we have to make women equal partners in development if we really want conservation and nature-based solutions to work. The third and final thing is co-creation. Policies cannot be made by governments alone without consultation from civil society. And by that, I don't mean civil society like the big NGOs. They have to include grassroots organizations and factor their hopes and aspirations and take into account the social and economic dimensions prevailing in our society at this point in time. Because some of the policies look very good on paper. You can't find fault with them. But when you link them with your own socio-economic practices and indicators, you find that they become unimplementable. So we have to rationalize these things and contextualize them in our own realities and look for a 5-year plan which needs to be apolitical. Whichever government comes in place must take ownership of that agenda and take it forward, because environment, climate change, humanitarian impacts, they have no boundaries. They should not become victims of political divides. Conservation of nature is one such thing. It should be a uniform and binding agenda for every government.
very thought-provoking comments regarding the role of gender, the role of co-creation, how we can come together and ensuring that we're protecting the environment for our future generations. Let me move to Chima Sahib right now, and who is the country director of IUCN. Chima Sahib, can you hear me? शुरू हुई थी जो मेरा क्वेश्चन हमाद के लिए था वो आपके लिए भी है। वो ठीक है, वो 18th अमेंडमेंट आ गई, प्रोविंसेस का भी रोल रहा है हमेशा से, लेकिन वी हैड अ डॉक्यूमेंट जिसको मैं समझता हूँ एनवायरनमेंट की बाइबल पाकिस्तान के अंदर, द नेशनल कंजर्वेशन स्ट्रेटजी। कई बातें जो आज हम कर रहे हैं, अगर हमारे जो यंगर जनरेशन देख रही है उसको, वो उठा ले उसको, तो वो कहेगी ये तो चीज़ें हमने डिसाइड किया हुआ था। वो लॉस की बात की हमाद ने कि ये चीज़ें चल रही हैं, लेकिन लॉस के होने के बावजूद, हमारे लेजिस्लेशन के होने के बावजूद, having even experts and organizations that understand the issue, सूरत हाल वो है जो कि अभी आयशा ने बताया। How can we move forward given all of this? Thank you.
First of all, let me thank you, Dr. Sab, Shafkat Kapakhil Sab, Dr. Abdul Sulari Sab, for taking this initiative. World Environment Day is a good reminder for all of us. Sorry. The way that we have, I think, pertinent question that you have asked. And historically, if you see that IUCN is a membership-driven organization, and when IUCN worked on this national conservation strategy with the government of Pakistan and the members, that was approved in 1992 and was considered one of the key environmental document. And you rightly said today, that stands a comprehensive document. I would like to say that a half-glass full approach that achievements we have seen so far made. One, that once this document was approved, you see that there are a number of provincial strategies that have been established. There are a number of departments that as a result of this, we had full infrastructure of the Ministry of Environment at the federal level and the Environment Protection Agencies at the local level when we had this Environment Protection Acts prepared. I think interestingly, 2000 May, you would recall, Dr. Under this Pakistan Environment Program, एक interestingly इसका mid-term review हुआ था, और उस mid-term review में बड़े 4-5 चीजें थी। एक तो ये था कि ये बड़े ambitious targets हमने set किए थे, knowing कि the donors are going to actually flood us with the funds और हम इसमें से बड़ी achievements कर लेंगे। Ground realities were different. हम 2000 में जब हुआ तो उसमें 4-5 areas ऐसे थे। दूसरा ये था कि जो institutions जिनको responsibilities दी गई, they were grossly under resourced. अब वो ठीक है, institution आप establish तो कर लेते हैं, लेकिन उनको अगर man ना करें, उनको resources ना provide करें, तो वो फिर function नहीं कर सकते। Provincial level पर हम कहते हैं कि हमने devolve किया, हमने सारी चीजें की, but they do not have the desired level of resources. NCS के review में ये भी था। Third point ये था जी कि हम वो monitoring जो है ना, effective, वो नहीं थी। तो वो भी अगर आप उस तरह से देखें, 5 points जो identify हुए हैं NCS के mid-term review में, तो मैं कहता हूँ पाकिस्तान में we are a blessed country as far as these policies are concerned. As far as strategies are concerned, there is no doubt. What is lacking is effective implementation of these strategies. मैं अभी भी मलक साहब बात कर रहे थे, मैंने कहा पिछले 30 साल से हम जो strategies prepare कर रहे हैं, तमाम strategies एक action plan उसके अंदर मौजूद है। अगर उनका fraction भी हम ले लेते हैं ना और ये resources divert करते हैं, तो there are ample opportunities of actually making a dent. डॉक्टर साहब कह रहे थे जी कि पेपर पॉक्स अपने हमाद नकी साहब, I agree. 13% area of Pakistan is protected area, and now this provides us opportunity कि किसी भी provincial government को हम ना करें। 2000 में हमने जब ये review किया था protected area system review, उसके अंदर भी यही फाइंडिंग्स थी जो आज हम 20 साल के बाद भी डिस्कस कर रहे हैं। मिनिस्ट्री को मैंने अपनी 2003 की एक प्रेजेंटेशन की, यही रिकमेंडेशन उनको मैंने कहा कि हाउ फार वी हैव मूव्ड। आई थिंक वी नीड टू मेक एक कोलैबोरेटिव एफर्ट कि हम ये स्टार्ट ले लें। अगर प्रोटेक्टेड एरियाज हैं तो उन प्रोटेक्टेड एरियाज के लिए मैनेजमेंट प्लान्स नहीं है, नोबडी फ्रॉम आउटसाइड इज गोइंग टू कम। हम प्रोविंशियल डिपार्टमेंट्स, लोकल कम्युनिटीज और जो रेलेवेंट स्टेक होल्डर्स हैं उनको इन्वॉल्व करके वी टेक ए स्टार्ट, और इसकी इफेक्टिव इम्प्लीमेंटेशन। नो डाउट कि हमने क्वांटिटेटिवली टारगेट्स को अचीव कर लिया, लेकिन क्वालिटेटिवली देयर इज ए लॉन्ग वे टू गो। और IUCN एक ऐसा इंस्टीट्यूशन है जो मिल के मेंबर्स के साथ काम करता है, और इसी स्ट्रेटजीज की इम्प्लीमेंटेशन के दौरान में मैं NCS प्रोविंशियल कंजर्वेशन स्ट्रेटजी, हमने माउंटेन एरियाज कंजर्वेंसी प्रोग्राम, अभी मैडम आयशा बता रही थी कि वहाँ प्रोटेक्टेड एरियाज में द फुल regime of this trophy hunting has been established, और local communities ने they have earned over $7 million from this trophy hunting program that IUCN, WWF, वहाँ पे जो member organizations है, AKRSP है और provincial जो governments हैं, उन्होंने मिलके काम किया है, तो उनको इकोनॉमिक बेनिफिट। टुडे नोबडी कैन डेयर टू गो इन दोस एरियाज के लिए वो हंट करें इलीगल जाके। दूसरा ये है कि हम फ्यूचर में जो अपॉर्चुनिटीज आती हैं नेशनल लेवल की, फॉर एग्जांपल हम प्रोविंशियल को रिस्पॉन्सिबल जरूर ठहराते हैं, लेकिन प्रोविंशियल को जो सपोर्ट चाहिए इंटरनेशनल लेवल पे वो हम उस तरह से शायद मोबिलाइज करके डायरेक्टली नहीं ला सकते। तो इसके लिए अगर नेशनल लेवल पर कोई इस तरह का प्लेटफॉर्म एस्टैब्लिश हो जाता है, जो कि एक रिकमेंडेशन थी प्रोटेक्टेड एरिया सिस्टम रिव्यू की इन 2000, और ये डॉक्यूमेंट कम्प्रिहेंसिव डॉक्यूमेंट्स हैं, इनको आप लेके आगे चल सकते हैं। मैं आपको ऑल्सो आई वुड लाइक टू साइट कि जी ये जो स्ट्रेंथ है IUCN की, इज ए मेंबरशिप ड्रिवन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, और आप लोगों के साथ मिलके वी कैन डू ए लॉट। The only consideration that we have, I think, ecosystem restoration fund अगर आप कहें कि establish हो रहा है, इसमें resources आ रहे हैं, तो IUCN, WWF, SDPI, for that matter, जितने भी हमारे member organizations हैं, they all are set to take this initiative jointly together, और हम ministry को assist कर सकते हैं इनको, क्योंकि ऐसे कुछ प्लेटफॉर्म्स हैं। मैं आपको ब्लू इकोनॉमी या कोस्टल रेजिलियंस के हवाले से एक एग्जांपल अगर साइट करूं, पिछले 10 साल से हम मैंगूज ऑफ फ्यूचर प्रोग्राम की नेशनल कोऑर्डिनेटिंग बॉडी बनी है, जिसमें WWF भी है, जिसमें प्रोविंशियल गवर्नमेंट सिंध और बलोचिस्तान की भी है। तो कोस्टल एरिया के लिए अगर हम इस फोरम को यूज करते हैं और सारे मेंबर्स रोल प्ले करते हैं, तो वी कैन डायरेक्टली लैंड इनटू इफेक्टिव इम्प्लीमेंटेशन। अदरवाइज क्या होगा कि हम ट्राई टू रीइन्वेंट व्हील, एक और स्ट्रेटेजी, एक और प्लान आ जाएगा, वो 5। लकीली आई फुली एग्री कि जी ये गवर्नमेंट जो है इसके अंदर एक पॉलिटिकल विल है, ग्रीनर एजेंडा, बट ट्रांसलेशन मैं समझता हूँ कि बेस्ट पॉसिबल होगी अगर हम इफेक्टिव यूज करें जो रिसोर्सेज हमारे पास मौजूद हैं, जो मेंबर्स की स्ट्रेंथ मौजूद है IUCN के मेंबर्स की। आई साइड जस्ट वन एग्जांपल, हमारे साहब ने बड़ा अच्छा कहा जी कि हम 1 या 2 एरियाज आइडेंटिफाई कर लें। 2 साल पहले हम मिले थे आपस में, तो वी सेड लेट अस टेक जस्ट एग्जांपल ऑफ इलीगल वाइल्ड लाइफ ट्रेड। तो एक एरिया को हमने लिया, टुडे that we have $3 million program approved from Jeff on the day before yesterday since we work together. अगर हम आपस में मिल के अगले 3-4 साल हम जा सकते हैं, लेकिन पार्टनरशिप में, तो स्ट्रेंथ्स जो है ना उनको पूल करने की जरूरत है। आप लोगों की जो स्ट्रेंथ्स हैं वो एनॉर्मस हैं, SDPI की एडवोकेसी के हवाले से, जो हमारे लाइक अगर कोई भी हुक्म है तो IUCN आई थिंक एट लोकल लेवल, एट द रीजनल और इंटरनेशनल लेवल, क्योंकि हमारे पास जो IUCN के कमीशंस हैं, IUCN के जो मेंबर्स हैं, दे आर ऑल वेल सेट। और ये टर्म भी जो कायम हुई थी नेचर बेस्ड सोल्यूशन, ये CBD को इफेक्टिव इम्प्लीमेंटेशन के लिए IUCN ने की थी, तो वी आर रेडी टू प्रोवाइड असिस्टेंस। एंड once again I'm so glad, so thankful to all of you. I'm glad to listen, but I think we will have to have one common will, a resolve that we go for effective implementation of the plans, effective implementation of the strategies together, so that we make. Otherwise फिर होगा कि 10 साल के बाद हम ये कहेंगे हमारे पास ये डॉक्यूमेंट तो मौजूद है, ये प्लान तो मौजूद है, ये पार्क तो मौजूद है, तो 10 साल के बाद हमारे बच्चे आके या 20 साल के बाद ये ना कहें कि अभी तक भी ये पेपर है. इनको ब्लैक एंड वाइट में ट्रांसलेशन हम अभी कर सकते हैं, और ये अपॉर्चुनिटी है. अगर रिसोर्सेज अवेलेबल हो रहे तो लेट अस फाइंड a way of working together. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chima Saab. Sir, this is excellent. जो synergy की तरफ आपने इशारा किया है, the resources that we already have available to us are plenty. अगर उसको किसी तरह utilize किया जाए, मिलजुल कर आए तो हम लोग इनको issues कर सकते हैं. I'd like to now come to the audience and see if they have a few questions. अगर अपना आप mic खोल दें तो then I'll know कि किसका question है, and then I'll call upon you. In the meantime, हमारा जो question मैंने आपसे किया था vis-a-vis 18th Amendment and the role of provinces versus the Fed, और वहाँ पे जो issues हैं, अगर आप उस पे कुछ कहना चाहें तो उसको किस तरीके से बेहतर.
So personally, you know, I'm in favor of decentralization and giving more autonomy and powers to the federating subjects provinces. But unfortunately, 18th Amendment in quite a few departments created more confusion than trying to provide solution. Now, I also feel that at least 3 or 4 sectors like education, health, and environment, they should be, with the federal government, because for multiple reasons. There should be a harmony in our curriculum. There should be a harmony, we provide the healthcare facilities to our masses, and there should be a harmony, on nature conservation, the laws. So in this case, and then let me give you the example of, these enforcement of multilateral environmental agreements. Because of the fact that environment is a provincial subject, and government of Pakistan, I mean, Shafkat Kakakhail is aware of the fact that we have signed like almost all the multilateral environmental agreement. So we, whenever there's a conference of party, we have to come up with a report. We have to, tell the governments that, okay, this is our progress, this is our plan. But talk to any province about CBD, about Stockholm, about Montreal Protocol, and they have no clue about that. It used to be the federal government, and they used to compile and they used to provide that information. So when everybody is responsible, then no one is responsible. So and then there are still subjects like shipping, like nuclear energy, like mining, highways, railways, power generation, they are at the federal level, and when the projects under those sectors are launched, again there is a confusion. So honestly, and we have seen that when the Ministry of Environment was there, I think there was kind of more coordination, there was more cohesion, at least in some of the areas where we don't see, unfortunately, anything happening. So that's my, response to your query.
Thank you for that, for those insights. I see that we've got a few questions. Aisha, I see Aisha. Anyone else? Aisha, can you please go ahead and ask your question?
Yes, thank you, sir. Thank you so much. This was the best discussion I have organized so far. My question is not directly related to the World Environment Day, but it is related to a component of environment without which we cannot really talk about environment. And since I have this rare opportunity at the moment, so I'd want to raise it with both WWF and Ministry of Climate Change, the issue of animal cruelty. And we see that recently the decision of Islamabad High Court related to Kavan the elephant and the Islamabad Zoo raised a lot of appreciation for us. So I would want to raise the issue of animal cruelty in Pakistan. Wild boars, they are killed brutally in Islamabad on a massive scale. Similarly, the culling of stray dogs by district administrations everywhere in Pakistan is alarmingly an inhuman practice. Do we intend to introduce some initiatives curbing those practices, like we have rabies-free Pakistan, they neuter and spay dogs, and then there have been practices where boars were used for sewage cleaning purposes, or we can transform the zoos into wildlife sanctuaries or care facilities for strays. So I'd want to know if we are thinking on those lines. Thank you.
Okay, so let me thank you, Aisha. Let me clarify. So we are not an animal welfare organization, right? But that doesn't mean that we don't, we're not that bothered about the way animals are being treated in this country. By the way, there is, legislation in place which obviously prohibits cruelty against animals. It's a provincial subject, और कई जगहों पे तो एक वो department भी होता था which is primarily responsible. So the animal welfare, the pure animal welfare organizations, they are against, against animal testing. They are against culling of any animals. They are against trophy hunting. They are against. So we draw a line between. So these are the two extreme positions for public health. Animal testing, under a certain protocol it's allowed. Take the example of zoos. The way we develop and manage zoos, obviously there's a big question mark. And we have been advocating that there is there are international standards and best practices. If you really want to have zoos to raise awareness about animals and wildlife, then you have to follow those guidelines and standards. If you can't, then there is no point. I fully agree. And I think that's the reason then when the way they had, they were keeping the elephant in Islamabad Zoo, obviously we provided technical support to the court. My colleague, we did the study and then we shared our concerns. So, the thing is, either you follow those guidelines, and we have very good examples where this can be used in a positive way. But in a certain ecosystem, when there is the abundance of wildlife of a certain species, which is beyond the carrying capacity, and then there's a possibility that that wildlife interferes with human population, because of the abundance and the habitat degradation. So that's where sometimes you have to manage that. But again, there are best practices, there are guidelines that you have to follow. I mean, even in fact, for stray dogs, we shared our recommendations to the government of Punjab that, okay, why don't you follow, these? Sometimes they do, a lot of times they don't.
Thank you for that, Hamad. I see Mariam has a question. Mariam, please go ahead.
Thank you, Dr. Imran, and thank you, panelists, for enlightening a lot of important aspects regarding this day. These days, we have another issue of locust, and for dealing with that, our government is using sprays. We all know that on vegetation and different plants, which locust is consuming is of course dangerous, but those vegetation and crops also support a lot of plant species and many other species as well, and entire ecosystem depends on that. So with the use of spray, there will be a lot of damage to ecosystem as well. So I just want to know that in such challenging times, how we can take good steps or good measures so that we can control locusts as well as we can preserve ecosystem for many species.
I think, again, this is a very important question. But again, this has an impact on not only the local ecosystems, but also on their livelihoods, because the locust attack is damaging crops, is damaging the vegetation. And again, this is not for the first time, and this is not the last time that, again, that we are having locust attack. In Africa, in some other countries, this has become regular. I know we are working with organic cotton farmers in Balochistan, and God forbid, when they do the aerial sprays and the pesticide falls on, and then pesticide residues are detected on their crop, their crop will not be certified. So we are also concerned, and that's the reason that again there's a request to the government that follow the principles of integrated pest management, where there are also natural control, there are also biological control, there are all, but obviously in certain cases we need to go ahead with chemical control because that's like as a kind of a last option. But the way the locust has hit certain areas and the abundance is quite, actually it's quite horrifying. In those areas, there will be damage to the ecosystems. Beneficial insects. The chemical will not differentiate between a locust and a beneficial insect. It will kill both the insects. So that's I think there is some knowledge and awareness. The PARC head of the department is responsible for these. I think they have taken that up. I don't know a lot of details about that.
Thank you. Chima Sahab, would you like to add to this, the question of locusts? We know that locusts have historically been coming to these parts. So they've been coming through that exact corridor of Iran, Balochistan, and then through Sindh, and then into India. And actually, I've seen reports from pre-partition days in which we were struggling with these as well. So the question aa raha hai in terms of the hazardous nature of the sprays and how we can move forward. Do you have any thoughts?
It is a challenge जी, और अभी अगर आप देखें जो जिस तरह से चैलेंज है, ये अगर एग्रीकल्चर का जो है ना, ये 4 एलिमेंट्स हैं जो प्रोडक्टिव, अगर सिर्फ एग्रीकल्चर को दें, अदरवाइज ये इम्पैक्ट को पूरे वेजिटेटिव कवर को वो कर रहे हैं. इसमें एक है केमिकल, मैकेनिकल, हाइड्रोलॉजिकल एंड बायोलॉजिकल. जहाँ पे डेवलपमेंट्स हमने बायोलॉजिकल कर रही हैं, सीड वगैरह, वो तो हमने काफ़ी इम्प्रूवमेंट्स कर ली है. जो मैकेनिकल भी जो डेवलपमेंट्स हैं वो हो गई हैं केमिकल, लेकिन जहाँ पे हम इसको कंट्रोल बायोलॉजिकली करने की बात हो रही थी, दैट इज नॉट द अप्रोच दैट वी हैव फॉलोड. सो इसमें जो बाकी और कंट्रीज हैं जी, उन्होंने बड़ा मतलब एक कॉन्शियस अप्रोच ये अप्लाई की है. ये एक दूसरा चेंजिंग क्लाइमेट जो है ना, दैट एक्चुअली हैज आल्सो इम्पैक्टेड. ये कंड्यूसिव इन्वायरमेंट आपने देखा होगा कि काफी जो इनको बड़ी इजी और फास्ट ग्रोथ होती है, और देन दे मूव इन ए अटैकिंग पोजीशन. नो इंस्टीट्यूशंस दे आर रिस्पॉन्सिबल, लेकिन वो बड़ी हमारी सिचुएशनल अप्रोच होती है. अभी भी जो देखें ना, हम क्या कर रहे हैं, हमने 4 जहाज दे दिए, 2 मतलब टीमें बना दी स्प्रे करके. दैट विल बी नॉट ए लॉन्ग लास्टिंग सोल्यूशन, जिसको बाकी और कंट्रीज ने, अगर अफ्रीका में अगर आप देखें तो इंस्टीट्यूशंस ने डेकेड्स इस पे काम किया है, और अब इसको कंट्रोल करने की वो बात हो रही है. तो हमें थोड़ा सा ये भी देखना होगा. ट्रांसबाउंड्री जो एलिमेंट्स हैं उनको भी फर्दर स्टडी करने की जरूरत है कि मेजर्स हम कैसे ये जॉइंटली जो है ना वो ले सकते हैं टू हैव दिस मिनिमाइज इम्पैक्ट. अभी मैं समझता हूँ कि बड़ा अच्छा एनडीएमए और ये पाकिस्तान आर्मी स्पेशली जो फॉर द टाइम बीइंग जो मेजर्स हैं वो इफेक्टिव मेजर्स लेने की बात हो रही है, तो मिनिमाइज हो जाएगा डिसीजन ये जो इम्पैक्ट है. बट लॉन्ग टर्म में वी नीड टू हैव ए कोऑर्डिनेटेड जॉइंट स्ट्रेटजी to work on this controlling the.
Thank you very much. We'll just take one final question. Aisha has a question, and then we'll call it a day. Aisha, please.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Imran, and thank you to the panelists for this very insightful discussion. My question is related to the use of plastics in the times of COVID. We observed that there is a hike in the use in the form of masks and gloves, and even plastic wrapping for the deceased who passed away because of COVID. And this may have reversed any gains that we may have attained specifically in Islamabad made by the plastic ban. So are there any protocols in place to limit the use of plastics and move to more environmentally friendly materials? Thank you.
There are 10 million plastic bags that Pakistan is using daily. اور یہ there is no doubt کہ جی ہم اس کو there has been effort کہ ہم اس کو minimize کریں. Alternate بھی موجود ہیں. اگر آپ historically دیکھیں کہ جو ہمارے پاس تھا جب ویسٹ پاکستان ایسٹ پاکستان اکٹھے تھے تو اس وقت کیا تھا کہ جوٹ کے بیگ ہوتے تھے اور ہم سب مارکیٹ میں جا کے کوئی شرم نہیں محسوس کرتے تھے. کلاتھ کا بیگ ساتھ لے کے جاتے تھے اور ہمارے جو بزرگ ہیں وہ مارکیٹ سے جا کے چیزیں وہ ایڈوائز ہمیں کرتے تھے کہ یہ کبھی پلاسٹک بیگ کو نہ کہیں کرنے کے لیے اپنے بیگ میں لے کے آئے. تو ہم نے تھوڑی سی ایک جو کم قیمت اور دوسرا جو روٹین ہماری ہے جو ہم مطلب ایزی لینے کے لیے تو ہم نے اس کو یوز کیا. اب ایفرٹس تو ہوئی ہیں, لیجسلیشن بھی ہوئی ہے, لیکن اس کا آلٹرنیٹ اس لیول پہ ابھی نہیں ہے. اور میرا خیال ہے اب کانشیس ایفرٹس ہیں, یہ جو بڑے بزنسز ہیں انہوں نے تو اس کو اڈاپٹ کرنے کی بات کر لی ہے اور لوکل لیول پر بھی لوگوں کی. لیکن کیا ہے کہ ماسز کی ایجوکیشن کی ضرورت ہے کہ ہم اس کو ایجوکیٹ کریں اور یہ دیکھیں کہ کتنا لاس ہے. یہ صرف ہمیں بہت کم معلوم ہوتا ہے کہ جو لاس ہمارے پاس ہے, جو ہم یہی سمجھتے ہیں کہ انہوں نے یہ ایک جو ڈرین ہے اس کو بلاک کر دیا ہے. اب سمندر کے اندر فش کم ہے اور پلاسٹک زیادہ ہے. جو جدید ریسرچ یہ ثابت کر رہی ہے تو وہاں پہ IUCN نے مار پلاسٹک انیشیٹو میرین پلاسٹک کے حوالے سے گلوبل لیول کا پروگرام شروع کیا ہے جس میں ہم یہ اسٹڈی کر رہے ہیں کہ کیسے اسٹریٹجیز پریپیئر کی جائیں تاکہ یہ منیمائز ہو. ابھی تھوڑی دیر پہلے ہمارے رپورٹ قاسم کے چیئرمین تھے, ایک اور ویبینار ہو رہا تھا تو وہاں پہ انہوں نے بھی ایگزیکٹلی یہ والا پوائنٹ دیا کہ ہم سی کو ڈمپنگ سائٹ ہم نے بنا لیا تو جو بھی چیزیں ہیں وہ سیدھی وہاں پہ جا رہی ہیں. تو اربن جو یونٹس ہیں اس کے اندر میرا خیال ہے کہ ہمیں جو اپنی ڈیلی جو ضروریات ہیں اس کو آئی جنرلی سے نو, بچوں کو بھی جب ساتھ لے کے جاتا ہوں بعض اوقات دے آلسو آسک کوسچن ٹو می, کہتے ہیں کہ آپ کہتے تو ہیں لیکن ابھی مجھے بتائیں ہمارے پاس یہ ہے ڈسپوز آف کرنے کے لیے کہاں پہ ہم. تو ہمیں تھوڑا یہ انفراسٹرکچر بھی ساتھ ساتھ اسٹیبلش کرنا ہوگا. جی دیر از اے کمپریہنسو پریزنٹیشن. ہم نے کراچی سٹی کو اس وقت سٹی ڈسٹرکٹ گورنمنٹ کو لیجسلیشن کے لیے بھی 2005-06 میں ایک ڈاکومنٹ پریپیئر کر کے دیا تھا جو کہ بڑا کمپریہنسو تھا. لیکن کیا ہے کہ ہمارے پاس آلٹرنیٹ نہ ہونے کی وجہ سے دین وی گو فار دوز سولوشنز وچ آر ناٹ سسٹینیبل. تو میری یہی سبمیشن ہے کہ ہم ایجوکیٹ بھی کریں اور ساتھ ساتھ آلٹرنیٹ پہ فوکس کریں more. Thank you.
Thank you, Cheema Saab. So we're also lucky to have with us Farzana Altaf Sahiba, who's the Director General Pakistan Environmental Protection Agency based in Islamabad. Ma'am, اگر آپ تھوڑا سا اس پہ تھوڑا سا insights دیں اپنی جو question تھا regarding the waste that is coming in from COVID, اور اس پہ اگر میں تھوڑا سا ایڈ کر دوں hazardous waste کا آنسر بھی ہے نا کہ جو انفیکٹڈ ہو جاتی ہے آپ کے ہاسپٹل سٹاف کی اور وہ سب چیزیں. تو please shed some light on where we stand in that.
Thank you so much, Imran, and congratulations to IUCN, SDPI, for holding this webinar on the World Environment Day. اور ایک چیز آپ کے سوال کا جواب دینے سے پہلے میں یہ کہوں گی کہ جس طرح COVID-19 کے سینیریو میں ہر جگہ لاک ڈاؤن رہا اور کس قدر ہماری ایئر کوالٹی میں امپروومنٹ آئی, ہمارے واٹر پولوشن میں کم ہوئی, اور بہت سارے ایسے اسپیکٹس, ایون گرینری بڑی. آبویسلی جب ایئر پولوشن کم تھی, ٹرانسپورٹ نہیں تھی, بہت سارے ایشوز نہیں تھے. تو میں ایک بات سوچ رہی ہوں کہ یہ جو ہم انٹرنیشنل کانفرنسز کرتے ہیں انوائرمنٹ کی, اگر وہ بھی ہم ساری یوں ہی بیٹھ کے اور نیٹ پہ کر لیں اور ویبنار پہ کر لیں تو کتنی زیادہ ہماری موبلائزیشن کم ہو جائے گی اور کتنا امپیکٹ ہم انڈیویجلی کنٹریبیوٹ کر سکیں گے انوائرمنٹ کو بہتر کرنے میں. تو یہ ایک چیز تو بہت حد تک اللہ تعالیٰ نے ثابت کر دی ہے کہ اس سارے بگاڑ میں عمل دخل انسان کا ہے اور انسان اس میں شامل ہے. ڈائریکٹلی زیادہ ٹائم لیے بغیر جی جو ہیزرڈس ویسٹ اور اس کی بات ہو رہی ہے, I will share with you from very beginning, even in the month of the February, I started talking to so many people कि एक बहुत बड़ा चैलेंज हमें आएगा ये जो कोविड-19 के हमारे इन्फेक्टेड पेशेंट्स हैं उनका और उनसे जनरेटेड इन्फेक्शियस वेस्ट का, और ये एक बहुत बड़ा सोर्स बन जाएगा इस के फैलने का. और ख़ास तौर पे मैंने उस वक्त भी आई विल प्लेस ऑन रिकॉर्ड, मैंने एनडीएमए को ईमेल डाली इस पे कि प्लीज़ जहाँ जहाँ क्वारंटीन की फैसिलिटीज इस्टेब्लिश की जा रही हैं वहाँ स्पेशल मेजर्स लिए जाएं इस वेस्ट को मैनेज करने के लिए. उसके बाद बहुत सारे फोरम्स पे मैंने रिक्वेस्ट की कि ये मास्क यूज़ कर रहे हैं, नॉट ओनली कोरोना ये कोविड-19 वायरस जो है वो, बल्कि हर बंदा किसी न किसी किस्म के जरासीम कैरी कर रहा होता है, और बहुत सारे लोग जो मास्क यूज कर रहे हैं वो रैंडमली इधर उधर फेंक देते हैं. इवन ग्लव्स यूज कर रहे हैं इस वक्त आप देखें वो हर जगह फेंक रहे हैं, और दिस कुड बी द सोर्स ऑफ मैनी अदर डिजीजेस नॉट ओनली कोरोना. तो इस पे बहुत ज्यादा हमें फोकस करने की जरूरत है, एंड आई डोंट सी कि बहुत स्ट्रांगली इफेक्टिवली इस पे कोई हो रहा है. और ख़ास तौर पे मैंने बहुत सारे मीडिया के लोगों से भी रिक्वेस्ट की, खुद कुछ वीडियोस बना के सोशल मीडिया पे शेयर की, लेकिन मैंने कोशिश कर रही हूँ कि जितने हमारे ये अवेयरनेस के प्रोग्राम चल रहे हैं मीडिया पे कि जी मास्क इस्तेमाल करें, डिस्टेंस मेंटेन करें, हैंड वॉश करें, तो वहीं पे साथ एक छोटी सी बात कह दें कि जो ये मास्क यूज़ किए जा रहे हैं, एक तो इनको फेंकने से पहले डैमेज कर दें कि ये रीयूजेबल ना रहे. बहुत सारे लोग छोटी छोटी पिक्चर्स शेयर करते हैं कि जी कोई स्कैवेंजर या कोई दूसरा ये मास्क कलेक्ट कर रहे हैं, इवन वॉश करके रीसेल भी हो रहे हैं. दिस इज वेरी अपेरेंट. बहुत सारी इस लिहाज से भी वीडियो सोशल मीडिया पे आई हैं. एक पॉजिटिव साइन बहुत ज्यादा इसका हुआ है. मैं एडवर्सिटी इनटू अपॉर्चुनिटी की बात अभी भी कर रही हूँ. इस दफ़ा ये बहुत बड़ी एक एडवर्सिटी आई हुई है कोविड-19 की, लेकिन इसके साथ साथ एक बहुत हुई है कि जो ये मास्क पहनने की आदत और अब कंपल्शन की जा रही है. इन मिड ऑफ द रमज़ान मैंने मैनेजमेंट के लोगों से रिक्वेस्ट की थी, प्लीज़ बाय ऑर्डर, बाय नोटिफिकेशन कंपल्सरी कर दें कि कोई भी इंडिविजुअल जो है वो बगैर मास्क के बाहर नहीं निकलेगा और उनको फाइन इम्पोज किया जाएगा, जो कि अब जाके इस वीक में हुआ है, वेयर आई वाज टॉकिंग अबाउट इट मिड ऑफ द रमजान, कि जिनके पास पावर थी, जिनके पास अथॉरिटी थी, आई रिक्वेस्टेड देम. उसकी वजह ये थी कि ये चीज़ रमज़ान में जब शॉपिंग के लिए लोग बाहर निकले ये चीज़ फैली है, और इसके साथ साथ जो है मास्क पहनने की वजह से इस्लामाबाद में इस दफ़ा पोलन एनर्जी के केसेस बहुत कम रिपोर्ट हुए हैं. इट्स मीन प्रिवेंशन जो है वो बहुत ज़रूरी है, और हॉस्पिटल्स में मैंने चेक किया है, आम लोगों से भी चेक किया है, तो इसका मतलब है कि हमें ये जो हैजर्डस वेस्ट तो हम जनरेट कर रहे हैं. अच्छा, एक और चीज़ मैं ज़ाहिर है इन्वायरमेंट जो है वो मैं अक्सर कहती थी दरख्त लगाना इज़ नॉट द इन्वायरमेंट, दैट इज़ अ पार्ट ऑफ द फॉरेस्ट्री. उससे हट के क्लीन एयर, क्लीन वाटर, क्लीन सॉइल, clean ecosystem, this is the environment. Even awareness is an environment. I keep on roaming around in the Islamabad city, और मैं इस वक्त देख रही हूँ कि बहुत सारी जगहों पे बहुत अच्छे इनिशिएटिव लिए गए हैं जी कि लोगों को बगैर मास्क के शॉप्स के अंदर नहीं जाने दिया जा रहा, लेकिन उन्हीं शॉप्स के बाहर ग्लव्स के और मास्क के ढेर लगे हुए हैं जो रोड पे पड़े हुए हैं. तो वो एक बहुत बड़ा सोर्स ऑफ डिजीज है. फिर हॉस्पिटल्स में इस वक्त एनवायरमेंटल एजेंसी हैज इशूड द एडवाइजरी टू 96 हेल्थ फैसिलिटीज इन इस्लामाबाद इन राइटिंग कि आपने अपना ये इन्फेक्शियस वेस्ट जो है कैसे डिस्पोज ऑफ करना है. आई गॉट वेरी गुड रिस्पॉन्स फ्रॉम द पिम्स ओनली. आई प्लेस इट ऑन रिकॉर्ड. बहुत अच्छा, बहुत डिटेल रिप्लाई पिम्स की तरफ से मिला, और बाकी किसी की तरफ से हमें रिस्पॉन्स नहीं आया, क्योंकि हमारा एक है कि हम एस्टिमेट करें कि हमारे क्वारंटीन सेंटर में कितना इस वक्त वेस्ट जनरेट हो रहा है. नोबडी इज टॉकिंग अबाउट इट. इस वक्त एक और बहुत बड़ा डायलेमा शुरू हो चुका है. हमारे डिस्ट्रिक्ट एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन के लोग, हम डॉक्टर्स की बात कर रहे हैं, डॉक्टर्स के पास तो पेशेंट इन्फेक्शन के बाद पहुंच रहा है. हमारा वो डिस्ट्रिक्ट एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन का एक असिस्टेंट कमिश्नर या डिप्टी कमिश्नर जो एयरपोर्ट से रिसीव करता है, उनको क्वारंटीन सेंटर में जाता है, उन लोगों को क्वारंटीन करता है, हमारे बहुत सारे ये लोग इन्फेक्टेड हो रहे हैं. ये हमारे फ्रंट पे जो लोग कर रहे थे काम, आई गॉट द रिपोर्ट यस्टरडे, یہ جو پارلیمنٹیرینس ہمارے افیکٹڈ ہو رہے ہیں کہ جو ایکسپوز ہیں, لیکن ان لوگوں کے لیے بھی. اور اس میں ایک اور چیز ہے کہ جہاں کوارنٹین سینٹر میں اگر کوئی انفیکٹڈ پیشنٹ رکھا جا رہا ہے, اس کے بعد اس کا ویسٹ ڈسپوزل کا کوئی پراپر سسٹم ان پلیس نہیں.
جی تھینک یو ویری مچ. سو دیز آر ویری امپورٹنٹ ایشوز, اور آپ نے بتایا کہ آپ نے ایڈوائزری بھی بھیجی اور درجنوں انسٹیٹیوشن کو بھیجی, لیکن جواب صرف آپ کا ہے. تو اس پہ ہم آگے جا کے بات کریں گے. ویل بی ان ٹچ ود یو اینڈ سی کہ کس طریقے سے سول سوسائٹی اپنا رول پلے کر سکتی ہے, میڈیا کو کس طرح ہم انوالو کر سکتے ہیں. بٹ دیز آر ویری امپورٹنٹ ایشوز. So what we've seen today is that we started talking about nature and biodiversity, and we ended up talking about waste, and we lost a couple of colleagues in the middle, which is good because they're doing the stuff that we're talking about right now. Engage ho rahe hain. So with this, I want to thank everyone who's participated. Hamad from WWF, Chima Saab, IUCN se, Aisha Khan from the Civil Society Coalition for Climate Change.
Imran, ایک ریکویسٹ, سوری ٹو انٹرپٹ یو, ایک ریکویسٹ کرنا چاہوں گی. حماد نے بھی بہت اچھی بات کی تھی, چیما صاحب نے بھی. میں فیس بک پہ پہلے آپ کا دیکھ رہی تھی, ساتھ ہی ایک اور ویبنار چل رہا تھا, میں ادھر ڈسکشن میں پارٹیسپیٹ کر رہی تھی. ایک بہت بڑی مسنگ لنک جو اس وقت میں دیکھ رہی ہوں, آئی ریمبر IUCN, WWF, SDPI, جب ہمارا 2005 کا ارتھکویک آیا تھا, وی ور ویری ایکٹیو, اور اسپیشلی رول پلے کیا تھا ہماری ان ساری آرگنائزیشن نے. اس وقت COVID-19 کے سینیریو میں ایون میں ریکویسٹ کروں گی پلیز اس انفیکشیس ویسٹ کے لیے کوئی ایک کلسٹر ڈیولپ کیا جائے. اس وقت ہم نے بہت سارے ایریا میں ایک کلسٹر کا کانسیپٹ لائے تھے جو مختلف فورم پہ جا کے کام کرتے تھے. میں آج کی نیوز دیکھ رہی ہوں, اس وقت ہمارے رورل ایریا میں بہت زیادہ امپیکٹ اب ہونا شروع ہو گیا ہے, کیونکہ رورل ایریا کے لوگ عید پہ جو شاپنگ کے لیے نکلے تھے, تو آئی ڈونٹ فائنڈ اینی کلسٹر ہو از ورکنگ اباؤٹ اٹ. تو پلیز یہ اگر اس فورم پہ کوئی اس قسم کا آپ انیشیٹو لے لیں, اسپیشلی IUCN اور WWF اینڈ SDPI آر known and very well established organization, اور آپ لوگوں کو بلا بھی لیتے ہیں, کر بھی لیتے ہیں. We are looking towards you کہ let's work together. ابھی اس وقت کی نیوز میں پڑھ رہی تھی, ہمارے 2-3 منسٹریز ہیں جن کو سیل کر دیا گیا ہے because there are several suspect of the COVID-19 and positive. کوئی کلسٹر بنائے, اس طرح کا کوئی انیشیٹو لیں, کم از کم اس کی مزید سپریڈ پہ ہم کام کر سکیں, ہم بات کر سکیں. اور میڈیا پہ جو روز ٹاک ہو رہی ہے, وی ڈونٹ وانٹ ٹو بی انٹو the political discussion of this type of problem, but we want to go towards the solutions. Please, this is my request to all of you.
جو فرزانہ کا پوائنٹ تھا in terms of infectious waste, اس پہ we'll be sending out an email to all of you, and then let's get together and try and resolve this issue. Thank you to all the panelists. Thank you to Malik, Amin, Aslam, who also joined us for a little while, and thank you to all the participants who took time out of their busy schedules to be with us. This is a conversation that will continue. اس وقت ہم کسی کا پہ ختم نہیں ہو رہے. There are more and more questions اگر ہم بات کرتے رہیں, لیکن really appreciate everyone taking the time to be here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.